everybody. Welcome to Midwest Paratalk Radio. I'm the G-Man. That is Deb. You can catch us if you're listening to this on podcast. You can check out the
Good Lord.
Can we start again? Anyway, you can catch us on youtube.com/at MidwestParatalkRadio.com, along with the other major podcast platforms. Tonight, we have a special guest with us. Nancy Thames is joining us tonight, and she's going to be talking to us hopefully about disclosure. I've been reading a little bit on your website, and hopefully we'll get into some of that. But to fire things off, welcome to the show, Nancy, and go ahead and let's jump right into it. Let's start with maybe you telling our guests a little bit about yourself.
All right, I'll be happy to do that. My name is Nancy Thames. I am a lifelong contactee with interdimensional beings and positive extraterrestrials. And my first conscious memories go back as far as like 2 and 3 years old. And it has been a lifelong endeavor for me and for them in a process of getting me prepared to be who I am today and the reasons why they are here, the reasons why all this is happening now, why it didn't happen before, and what it all means. So basically, when I was young, it was just fun and games. It was, I looked forward to their visits. And I would tell my parents that I had little visitors in my room, and they would laugh at me. And they would tell me that I have just a really strange imagination and a very vivid dream, and to go back to bed. And so this was continuing on. And, as I got older, they didn't think it was that funny anymore. And they told me, we do not talk about these kind of things. I grew up in Tennessee, which is part of the Bible Belt. And these things were considered demonic or considered, they put people into mental institutions for talking about these things. So my family was pretty known in our community. My father was into broadcasting, owned a radio station, was well known. And I was active in Girl Scouts and sports and all these different activities. And so it would have been an embarrassment for me to go out and talk about these things. So I was told, do not talk about it. And in order to keep peace within the family, I suppressed it. That's all I could do. I knew it was happening, but it wasn't anything anybody wanted to talk about. And I didn't feel like getting a spanking. So I suppressed it. So, and really and truly, I was fine with all this until I got until about junior high school. And at this age, the world around me, reading books, things on TV, what people were saying, started changing how I felt and started making me questioning what was happening to me. And so when I started having this fear and anxiety surface, my experiences with them changed. And they were patient with me, but rather than letting me have the full conscious visit that I would have in the past, they would simply tap me and put me in a trance. Like I was fully functional, but I was kind of like in a trance or in a meditated without medication type trance, like just like a walking zombie kind of. And then I didn't have the fears, I didn't have the emotions. But the only problem with that, I realized as I got older, that when I would return home, my memories were fragmented. I didn't have the full conscious memory. And I realized as I got older and I started asking more questions, and they expressed to me that if I could learn to deal with my fear and my anxieties, that I could have more conscious time with them. And, it was not an easy process by any means. A lot of people say, oh, I'd love to see a extraterrestrial. I'd love to do this, that, but it is not all fun and games. It is very scary. It is we live in a world that these things are not acceptable, and they're just now starting to be talked about. And people do not want to hear what we have to say. But I understand now, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. 20 years ago, I probably would have said something different. but how I feel now, because I am older and because they were patient with me. And through this long journey, I'm 64 years old, so it certainly didn't happen overnight. It took me a long time to get to this point. But one of the main things that stirred me up was when I was 30, early 30s, and I witnessed my two sons being taken for the first time. And that was a game changer for me, because I realized not only is this not just about me, this is happening. This is real. It doesn't matter what everybody else is saying. This has happened to me. And so I always knew, and I never understood, but when they would come to get me, I am in contact with interdimensional and many, many different extraterrestrials, but they send three grays. They always send three grays to come to get me. And when they do, one of them is a female, and she is reddish brown, because there's many, many different races of grays, not just one kind that most people know of. There's many different races, and she is a female, and I am bonded to her. I now understand my relationship with her. We have a relationship that's hard to explain to another human because of her being an extraterrestrial, but it is definitely there, and she loves me and I love her. And when she speaks to me telepathically, her messages are not, they don't sound male or female. They're just kind of bland messages. But in my heart, and also through our frequency exchange, her frequency, she is a female. And the ones that came for my sons, when I witnessed that, they were totally different grays. And that's another thing that I've learned, that we are all assigned like certain guardians, and the ones that come for them are totally different than the ones that come for me. But I was aware and felt their frequency, and I rose up in the bed, and they appeared in the room, and they were 3 feet tall, and they were gray color, and they were wearing robes and high collars. And when they saw me sitting up, one approached me, pressed me down, and telepathically told me, "This is not about you." And so I was laying there, and he put me in a sleep paralysis. I could not speak, I could not move. And I just laid there, very upset, very confused, wanting to scream, could not, and watched them take my children by the hand and lead them off. And then when I woke up the next day, they were safely in their bed and fine. And when we all went to breakfast, they had no memories of the event. And I didn't push it, but I asked them if they had any strange things, or, dreams or anything. And they were just, no, they did not. So I left it alone. But I was so upset. We were on a vacation, and when we got back home, I meditated to the extraterrestrials, wanting to know. I wanted answers. Why me? Why my children? Why is this happening? What is the purpose? The whole 9 yards. And I'm not a person that says I can contact them and they immediately come or anything like that. It's not, it's just not like that. The world doesn't operate like that. But they did come on their own time. And when they did, they took me before a group of elders, and they explained to me that I had made a decision prior to coming to having my human experience to be here and to have the human experience, and to be here at this pivotal time with humanity, to help humanity understand we are not alone in the universe, and that I was part of a program and something that they're working on. And at that particular time, at my age, around 30, they didn't want me to know everything. I could barely understand what was happening at the time, because your brain can only handle so much, because this is just so different, and it's not what the world around us says is normal. So they told me enough just to get me by that point. So after that, it was just a period of time, and I've been through lots of bad things in my life, lots of good things, but 2 failed marriages, all kinds of stuff, just like any other human being. But to make the story kind of cut it short, because hopefully you're going to ask me some things. But about 2 to 3 years ago, 2.5, little something like that. I lose track of time. I'm getting older. But they gave me a Kundalini awakening because they've always told me when I ask them things, you already know. And I'm like, I don't. So they gave me the Kundalini experience. And what they did was they opened my subconscious up into my human consciousness so that I would understand that this information that I was receiving. So I would remember things that my subconscious knows, but that my human consciousness has blocked out to help me understand who I am, why I'm here, and the purpose of all these things that have happened in my life. And I finally understand I was an interdimensional being and made a choice to be here at this time. This is the biggest moment that humanity has ever done since our creation. We are at a pivotal moment. We are reaching higher consciousness. We are going from a 3D world, moving into a 4D, and possibly moving on. I don't know the time frames. And these are not physical places that we are moving into. These are higher levels of consciousness. And we are waking up and realizing our true origins. We are realizing that there is things in our world. We are here and we are experiencing the life around us with our five senses. But there are things living all around us that we simply cannot see. Our skies, our universe, our solar system is teeming with extraterrestrials. But with our 3D vision, we can't see it all, but it is there. They are not hiding, but we are on the verge of being our awareness, opening it up to more things. We will realize that everything living on this planet is a living conscious being. Our plants, our trees, are living conscious beings, our insects, everything, our air, our water, our planet itself, Earth, is a living conscious being. And basically, the planet and all living conscious beings on it, and extraterrestrials and interdimensionals, have been waiting all this time for humanity to wake up and realize who we are, our full potential. And that's why they are here now. That's why I am here. I incarnated here to be here for this reason. And I'm positive that there's many others like me that are here to help raise the frequency of Earth, help get the information out there, because there's so much misinformation and people need to know the truth. We've been lied to for so long. It's only people need the truth, and they need to understand our world is changing. We are changing. We are evolving. For this is the biggest leap ever. And we, in my opinion, we, humanity, all of us, we are the disclosure. We will now, when we reach this point, we won't care what the government tells us. We won't need that affirmation from them. We will know it ourselves through our higher consciousness, and we will understand all of our connections to all these things. And we will walk away from negative aspects of our life. We will realize that we have been programmed and manipulated all our lives. And this has been going on for eons. And we're now at the point where we can make these changes by all coming together as one in unity and realizing that they have intentionally kept us separated for eons. But now, as we reach higher consciousness, come together, we're going to be unstoppable. We are going to be unstoppable. And all these things will not happen overnight. That's the beautiful part. Just like we were created in a beautiful, intentional way, all this is being done in a beautiful, intentional way. They understand that if these changes happened like day and night, it would be too much. They know how our minds operate. They know how to do these things. We are not the first beings within the universe to go through this evolutionary stage. And they are billions of years ahead of us in evolution. And they've done this, they've been in this process back in the past. So they know what they're doing, and they're going to make sure that it's as easy and gentle, and everybody understands we are all a part of it. We are all a part of it. And will we realize our place in the cosmic realm, because they had a part. They didn't do it all. They played a part in our creation. They believe in creator source, and they all have souls. So they didn't do it all. They played a part in it. So I'll let y'all. I'll take a breath.
Well, but yeah, Greg, does any of that sound familiar to you? Because it sounds a lot like a lot of stuff I say.
It does. And my only question is that, I understand what you're saying. I understand that you are considered part of a higher purpose.
Yes.
In a higher purpose human being, and we're moving towards this disclosure from alien and not government. But to me, it kind of seems like, and tell me what you think, is that it's been going on for a period of time. I mean, it's gone on since the middle to late 40s and has been pushing. So is that kind of the game plan as far as what they are trying to do as to bring?
They're reaching out to humanity.
Yeah.
We are big in number. We are very big and very strong. When we reach this level of higher consciousness and come to the understanding, our air, our water, our food, everything has toxins in it. Our media has negativity all in it. All these things have been done to keep us dumbed down, lower consciousness, because not only can they control our population level, they can control our thinking and what we do. They have a control over us, but these things are going to change. We are waking up and realizing our full potential, and we don't have to live in these old ways. Not that we should be ugly or resentful. All these things that has happened in our life served a purpose, and it built us all up to where we are today. So we are going to be a more positive, forgiving race. And I know that sounds kind of hard to some people, but through evolution, as evolution, the way it works in the universe is that as you progress, negativity, warlike ways, old ways, you will realize will no longer serve you. All these divisions, racism, divisions in religions, our banking systems are breaking down. Our technology is to the point where none of these other things can keep up with it and keep it secure. We are outgrowing all our old ways, and we are changing. We are reaching evolutionary changes all over our planet, and our planet itself is. So when you ask about, yes, for me and for most people, disclosure has already happened. I know for her, it's already happened. I mean, we know, and for you, disclosure has happened, but for the world, they think they needed affirmation from governments. But what they're going to realize is that we are the disclosure, our higher intelligence, our higher consciousness, in our understanding of the world around us, in our part in it, and understanding our connection to the universe and the cosmic realm. And also when they finally know that these extraterrestrials and interdimensionals are all around our planet, putting in frequencies of love, unity. This is what they've been waiting on. This is the moment. We are at it. This is what they've been waiting for. And they're not going to jump in here and change anything. We have control over what goes on. They are simply here to assist. We're at the point where our technology can either destroy us or we can use it to the betterment of humanity. The problem is that the controllers and the elites, the people that dark hats, whatever you want to call them, the ones in charge, have sit on technology and only used it for themselves. And we, humanity, we have been left out in the dark because they cannot make money off of intelligent, healthy human beings. We should be living longer lives, but they give us all these toxins. They have us taking pharmaceutical drugs. our bodies weren't made for these synthetic drugs. When we were created, everything we ever needed was put here on our planet to help us sustain ourselves for the rest of our lives.
I agree.
They're sitting on this technology and on this information, but they can't make money off us like that. So we have been controlled. Everything we need is here. All these plants, all these animals, all these things, our air, all these things, we are all one. We are all connected, and we're here to support each other. And we will learn. We do not need to be manipulated and controlled. And
All right.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So let me ask you this. Do you
Mhm.
think that, I know you had mentioned the Greys and being in contact with the Greys, and, Deb has a similar encounter
Yes.
as well. My question is, do you think that the static and the discord and the greed and corruption that is within the governments across the world, what species is influencing them to fight against the Greys and what they are wanting to achieve, from what you're saying, as a whole unified unity peace?
Yes. I'm not talking about just the Greys. I'm
Mhm.
talking about when I'm on craft, the Greys get me to craft. When I'm on craft, I am around the interdimensionals that are 7 to 8 foot tall. They have human-like features, but they are not human. And they are very, very pale, almost luminescent. And then there's the tall Greys. And then there's some reptilians. There are some aquatic beings. There are Nordics. There are Palladians. All these different type beings. Some beings that we don't even talk about down here that look human, but from their waist down, not so human. They look more like an animal or something like that. And there's many, many different races, and they are all on a mothership, all working for this. So who I think is the reason, I think it is, there is a dark force that has been controlling us for eons. The elites, the cabal, the Illuminati, they are the puppet players. They play our governments. They pick who they want to be in office. And then when they get them in, they control and manipulate them.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, our government really doesn't have a lot of say.
Mhm.
It's these really these elites that control the world. They control the banking systems, the fact that we're still using fossil fuels and been sitting on that kind of free energy technology forever. They control all these things because they're greedy. They
Yeah,
only care about themselves. They don't care about humanity.
yeah.
They
I've
have
said
cures for every disease, but they won't release it.
they have a water powered carburetor for water engines.
There
Yes.
used to be an engineer who worked where I worked that built
Yeah,
his own water-powered car, and he drove it to work every day for 20 years. He works
right.
for General Motors.
Yeah. Isn't that
Go
funny?
figure. That's
And
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah, and I've said for years. I mean, I will even go back to the Reagan years, where
Yeah.
it's like since the Reagan years, the presidency in that seat
They
has juice. They have no power.
they
Some
have
back
no power.
some back alley Sally society is in the backgrounds, working in the backgrounds. But I don't believe that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Men, the humanity as a species are greedy and corruptible, dishonest beings. But I don't think that they have the juice and the power that I see coming from the government entities for them to be doing it by themselves. I really think, I mean, you got the rebellion and you've got the empire, and we're going at it right now, but there's something worldly that is controlling the governments of the world at this time. I don't think
I think
that
something entered the arena, maybe 10 years ago, and
Oh, I'd say it went back further than that. This has
and
been going on for a very, very long time.
it's twisted down. Yeah, it
Mhm.
feels heavy,
And that's why these beings, that's why they're reaching out to humanity. They don't, I think, in the past, back when we had the Roswell incident, they tried in the past, got them nowhere. Wow. Why would they'll never land on the White House. They'll never do anything like that.
No.
They are reaching out to humanity.
That's
who they want. That's who they want me to reach out to, is humanity.
To quote the character who played Jacques Vallée in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, when asked about the experiencers who somehow miraculously made their way to Devil's Tower and were all herded into that big van, we were invited to this disclosure thing. So whatever governments, not just the American government, but a lot of other governments involved in all this, if they think they can control the narrative, they got another thing coming, because we were invited.
That's right.
And we're going to do
we all made a choice to be here and be here now.
And we're doing
everybody on this planet, whether they remember it or not. We are all a part of that. That's why we are the disclosure. And we will all wake up and realize we know this right now, but we are getting the information out there and helping the rest of the world to wake up. And they will. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen, because it's just like everything else. These things, just like our creation, it was done in a pure, in a fashion that it's so intentional and so beautiful. And it's always a slow process, and it's to the point to where it will not seem weird to anyone. And by the time it comes to the end of it, it will seem like it's always been this way, because that's the beautiful part. We are all a part of it, and it's all designed to make everyone understand they are a part of it. So the visions they show me, I see it, and I see it every day. I see things, people everywhere you look, consciousness, frequencies, higher vibrations. And of course, some people have always known these things, but now it's becoming mainstream, and this is all with intention. They know how to do this, and it's being done, and it's going to come to a completion. And you have to understand, as many people, there's a lot of negative people that came here to do the exact opposite of what we're trying to do. So there would be fighting us tooth and nail. They may not let us know it, but they are. And some of them might not even know that they're here doing it. They're just thinking that's what they want to do. But that's okay. That's okay. These things are interdimensionals and extraterrestrials have done this many, many times. They've watched this play out with other races. They know how to do this, and they will be here to assist us. They're here to guide us. They're not here to just throw people around and take things over, take control of our world and just move down here next to us. They're here to assist us and eventually guide us into the cosmic realm where we belong. That's where our origins are from, the cosmic realm.
Now, what's your stance on aliens being amongst us now, earthbound?
I don't understand what you mean, earthbound.
I mean, the aliens that are here living with us, the hybrids, you hear about hybrids. You hear about, like my next door across the street could be a gray. You know what I mean?
I run into extraterrestrials, like when I'm shopping sometimes, or, I understand who they are because I can feel their frequency. They know who I am. They can feel my frequency. I'm at a higher frequency, but that didn't happen overnight either. This is something that they worked on me. They would take a handheld device when I was young and run it up and down, toe to head to toe, to change my frequency to their frequency so that I could travel with them and go through a ceiling and through a wall and through a door. Now they don't have to use the device. I am at a frequency where we can just go. But when I'm like out shopping, I see them. They come down and interact. you know, they like to see what it's like down here. I mean, they like to have this experience too. We are spiritual energy beings here having a human experience. This is a very short experience, and they live much longer lifetimes than we do. We have the shortest lifespan of any beings in the universe. So yeah, they come down and check us out. And yes, they have some bases underwater. They have some bases in mountains. They have places where they congregate, things like that. So yeah, they live, some live here.
Mhm.
I guess did you see there's a post going around the internet referring to the SALT conference, and Colonel Carl Nell, he states unequivocally that non-human intelligence not only exists, but is interacting with humans right now and has been for a long time.
I've seen them, they're not here to do anything wrong. They're
No.
just, this is an experience.
I'm like you. And eh, I can't see them all the time. Like when I'm going to shopping at Myers or whatever, you know what I mean? But I'll get into the field of, get in the energy of somebody who's passing me by. And I feel things that I have felt, things that I recognize as not native to this area. If you know
they
what I
have
mean.
we all have a vibrational frequency.
Mhm.
Humans are at a low frequency. They're at a much higher. And I'm in tune with them big time. So I automatically, I can sense it. I mean, I know they're coming before they ever get to my home or
Mhm.
wherever I am in the world. I know. And it's like, either I don't know if they're doing that and letting me know, or if I'm just in tune and I pick up on it. But yeah. And the thing is, I think we're all reaching higher frequencies. We're
Mhm.
all going to start experiencing these things more and more and more. And we're going to start seeing things more and
Yeah.
more and more.
I believe that. And people that have not been aware, that are just waking up to all of this,
Yeah.
they're going to come, they're going to seek out folks like you and I, and a
Yes.
lot of other people, like millions of other people, they're going to have questions. And so I know for me, that's part of why I do what I do. And I know that's why you do what you do as well.
Yes.
Well, is the natural selection of evolution, is that kind of what's happening with the awakening, or is it, solely
no,
based
we
on
will all reach that. All of humanity will reach this. It won't happen at the same pace. It's just like when we're reading a book, some of us understand it quicker than others, so we have to be patient and understand we're all here on a spiritual path. We're all here on a soul purpose. We all came here for reasons. Some people's paths are not exactly like ours, so they will be slower to wake up. They will eventually get there, but it just may not be as quick as us, as the most of us. But the what's important is that we get a majority of people waking up, and that's why they have intentionally had contact with humanity all through our life. Even the people that consider themselves as being abducted, they were preparing all of us. However it was perceived is differently, just like a movie or a book, the perception of it, but it was all a awakening, part of the process of getting us to wake up. They were checking our spiritual levels, checking our mental health, checking our physical health. And if they could, they would physically fix all of our health and problems and things. But because we are here on free will, and we all made soul contracts before we came to earth, they cannot interfere with some things, because that's part of the cosmic law of the cosmic realm, is they are not supposed to interfere. So for me, I was one of them before I came here. If I have cancer, they can fix it. Whereas somebody else, if they're if that's what they chose to experience while they were here, they can't do anything about that.
I
They
want to
want
rewrite
to.
my contract.
So contracts,
I want to rewrite my contract.
yeah, yeah. It's very there's a lot of part of that kind of stuff that bothers me. I just lost my daughter-in-law back in November. That was 29 and died, and that's where I have my 3-year-old and 6-year-old grandson, and they were without a mother. So, there's a lot of things about this that I'm not happy about, but I didn't write the book. I don't think we'll ever I don't think we'll ever understand everything. I don't think we're supposed to understand everything, but all of these things happen, and for reasons we just don't know. And, that's just part of our life, the good and the bad. But we have to pick ourselves up and see the positive side of things. And, nobody's life is a bed of roses.
No, and it's the people who learn how to adapt to what happens around them and to them. Those are the ones that will eventually survive,
Yes.
and rise up from it. I've been through some really negative things in my life too, and I can look back 30 years later and know that I hated every minute of it, and I really
Yeah.
can't understand why I would ever ask for that. And then on the flip side, I learned so much about myself from it that I grew through it. And
And look
so
at us. It's
it's
about who we are today.
exactly. And you can't choose what's going to happen to you consciously anyway, but
Yeah.
you can choose the choices in how you're going to uh react or
Our behavior. Yeah.
respond to it. And
Mhm.
that's where the growth comes in. And
Yeah.
that's where, you know what
Well,
I mean?
it's just like when I saw them taking my 2 children at the
Yeah.
time, I was devastated, hurt,
Oh gosh,
mad,
yes.
angry, etc.
Mama bear kicks in on me
Oh
then.
yeah, I would
Yeah.
have beat them,
Yeah.
and that's why they locked me down in sleep paralysis.
Hmm.
But now I understand they could have done that without me ever even seeing it, but
Hmm.
they wanted me to see it. They wanted me
Hmm.
to understand. All this was leading to something, a
Hmm.
greater purpose. And I just wasn't at that level of understanding when it happened. And that's what happens a lot with us when we first have these experiences. We just don't, we're not at that level of understanding. And the fear thing, once that we feel that fear,
Hmm.
that's it. There's, that's it. There is
Then the
no
monkey
understanding.
brain kicks in, and our
Yeah,
survival, our fear, our brains are wired to survive. I saw a commencement speech a guy made about this not too long ago. It made such an impression on me and was so broad, but it's like, our fear is why our race survived as a species, because if you weren't afraid of the dinosaur or
right,
the fish that tasted funny, then you died. So
right.
fear was the reason we survived
Survival.
as a species. But there comes a point where we have to learn to jump out of that monkey brain in order to achieve compassion and empathy, and in achieving that, our intelligence is raised, because
Right.
like the guy said, the most empathic, the most compassionate people I know are oftentimes also the smartest. So I think that we're being pushed in that direction, to jump out of that monkey brain. We don't need that anymore. We don't need to be afraid of dinosaurs and and stuff like that.
Yeah, we need to
So
trust in ourselves. We need to look
right.
within, find ourselves within. For me,
Mhm.
I had to say, I want to know the Nancy Timms, my soul self, not the Nancy Timms the world around me has programmed me into,
Mhm.
all these different facets that that we get pulled all these directions. I wanted to know my soul self. And by doing that, I'm happier than I've ever been in my life,
Mhm.
because I know who I am and I understand why I came here. I know where I'm going when I leave this vessel that I'm in. I know where I'm going, and I know that my consciousness and my soul will move on to a new experience. I'm not going to be 6 foot under the ground. It's not over for me or anyone.
Mm-hmm.
We are immortal. Once we leave this vessel, we continue on and have different experiences. And for me, that in itself is wonderful and beautiful. And it gives me more reason to be glad that I'm having this human experience. And now I want to be more positive. I want to be a better person, and I want to enjoy what time I have left here.
Mm-hmm.
20 years ago, I probably would have said, I'll go tomorrow, because, my life, I didn't know all these things. And, I was not a happy person like I am now. But now I think everybody in the world will have these understandings, and we will make better time of our life here, our experiences here, our lifestyles, everything will change, and we'll learn to use AI technology for the betterment of all of us. And we will not be working this 9 to 5 slave jobs. We won't even call them jobs. We'll call them my service to community, my service to whatever. It will be things that we literally love doing. AI will not replace all these jobs. It will create new opportunities. We will have things that we love doing and not have to put as many hours in. We will learn to spend more time with our families and enjoy every aspect of from the beginning as a toddler to middle age to senior citizen in elder years. We will learn to love and appreciate it more. We have so much to look forward to, and I'm so excited to be alive right now. We should all be proud that we're a part of this evolutionary thing, because we are going to be the generation that history talks about, because we're going to be starting something that will expand for future generations. This is a wonderful thing.
Well, I was going to ask you what you would say to somebody that's just beginning to become aware of, all the stuff. I mean, this can be overwhelming and
yes. Well,
almost
that's why,
catastrophic.
our mental health departments, all doctors and therapists should be aware of all this, and the different people will go through different, maybe some trauma and things like that. And I think they are trying to get different things. I know, like there's in our, OPUS, capital OPUS, there's, what is it, TESTA, and there's all these different places. And in my group, I try to have links to all these things for people to look for outlets, meetups, conferences, events, even therapists that can be reached out to that will help people to understand not just extraterrestrial experience, but any phenomena, paranoid, I'm not really, I don't know how to say all these words, but the paranormal field.
Yeah, that's that we do that too, me and Greg.
Yeah, because these things are going to increase too as our awareness opens up. All these things are going to pick up, and people are going to start remembering and want to talk about their experiences. So we all need to be prepared to understand that. Even let's see, UAP Medical Coalition is another one. There's a lot of them already out there, and a lot of people have their own personal groups where they will have experiences meet up and get together. And it sometimes, even these days, your other family members don't want to listen or talk about these things. So it's good that we find other forums, other groups, meetups, so we can interact and get the feedback, and also to share our perspectives on these things, because sometimes just talking to somebody, it gives you a better idea of or how to connect things together. I have my son is, I saw them, and my oldest son has full-on experiences like I do. He gets downloads. He's had a Kundalini experience just like me. And so we can have these conversations. So now I'm very lucky. But before growing up, I didn't have anybody. So I know what that's like, and it is not fun. It is not fun to be in your own little world with not understanding what is happening in your life. Yeah.
That's for sure. When I first came out 40 years ago, with my experience, there wasn't even the internet or cell phones,
Right.
I mean, we
Yeah.
did everything by mail and occasional short, long distance phone calls. I was fortunate enough, though, to have my entire family support and friends and neighbors and things like that. Not that we talked about all of it a lot. And actually, we had more paranormal activity at the time than we did UFO stuff. And it was a while before I began to start connecting everything and also uh, had this kind of epiphany that probably the majority of the contact that I was having wasn't even, you know, extraterrestrial. It was more dimensional, as you say, you
Mhm.
know. So I mean, you and I have a lot in common, and I
Yes.
know we've spoken in the past as well. Uh, you know, a lot of people have different experiences, but all of them I think are valid and relevant. And that's one of the
Oh, yeah.
reasons why Greg and I have this platform so that folks can come and tell their story, no matter who they don't, you know, our guests are not necessarily famous. You know, we have more well-known people like you, and we've had, um, you know, a couple other people that are pretty well known in either the UFO or paranormal community. But we also have a lot of people that are just realizing what's happening and what's
Yes.
going on in their life, and we want them to come and feel comfortable
That's
talking to.
awesome.
So, I mean, you know, I do more work behind the scenes that I do, you know, out where people see it, but hopefully it makes just as much of an impact. So,
Oh, it
and I
does.
know you are, and I looked at your website. You know, you got a lot of interesting stuff and good stuff on there. And like I said, you and I have, I think we're probably on kind of the same wavelength on a lot of things. So
Yeah.
I'm super excited and glad that you're here
Oh,
to
me too. It's
you talk.
always,
You say it better than I do. I still struggle even sometimes with things in my mind, but trying to make it verbally understandable. But you do a better job than
well,
I do.
thank you. I hope so. I want to. I meditate before. I don't plan out what I'm going to say. I meditate and ask for them to give me guidance and ask for them to be with me, you know, and sometimes I can just feel their presence. It's just like I can feel my energy change, my frequency changes, and it's just they know what we're doing, and
Mhm.
I think a lot of times people like you, people like we meet, and this is all a part of the plan too.
Exactly. That right. We
You
all
know,
are brought together at different times,
yes,
and our
we're
paths cross
all
for
family,
reasons.
and you know, and we're understanding our connections. You know, because
Yeah.
we're all connected. So these things happen for a reason. And I feel blessed. You know, now, like I said, 20 years ago, I would not be saying what I'm saying now, but I do understand and I feel blessed. And I'm finally meeting my family. I mean, you're my family. You know, for so long, I felt so odd and distant from people. And now, you know, I can
Mhm.
be who I am and I have family and there's people like me. And it's
Mhm.
beautiful, you know, and I understand that when we all come together, we can do great things.
Oh
We
yeah.
can.
Do you ever feel like you're channeling someone else? I mean, or you know, I've had that sensation before. I'm just curious. Have you ever felt that?
I don't really understand the whole concept of channeling. I I know that when I meditate with pure intention directly to them. And what I get back in return is not necessarily, there's no inflection in the message and there's not like male or female. So
Okay.
that's why they gave me the Kundalini awakening, because I didn't understand how these things operate. Yeah, I did not grow up in a family where any of this was talked about, or at least we didn't even watch things like this. You know? Yeah. So this is all new to me, you know, and so they just kind of like fried my brain to say, "Wake up," you know.
Would you when you grew up, were you heavily influenced by? You said you grew up in the Bible Belt. Was religion a big part of your life as a
No,
young? It no,
I
wasn't
was,
mine either, actually.
yeah,
Just
my
curious.
family, we felt like if we camped a whole lot, we were very outdoors. And my daddy said, we don't have to go to church. We could go out here and get at the picnic table and have our own thing. We can, I grew up in a family that we talked about it, but church, that just was, they never told us that it wasn't right, but we didn't have to have a building to go into, and we didn't have to make a presence in front of other people. We could have our own connection with God on our own family time.
Yeah, that's very similar to
yeah.
Well, my dad was Catholic, my mom was Pentecost, and so when they got married, both their churches said, "Get out."
Yeah.
So they're like, "All right, see ya." So that's kind of how we were.
Yeah, I've said the thing 100 times. I don't need to go to some collective Bible. Excuse me, and I'm sorry, and I know this is going to sound real shitty. Bible thumping. If you don't get saved in my church, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It
don't work that way.
What creator would have all those type ugly things? That's not the way it is. That is a fear-based trying to manipulate people into things. But our creator source, I believe in the creator source now, and there is nothing negative at all about that. They don't play games, and they don't talk about Santa Claus and the bunny rabbit. And humans have done so many things. Why they don't understand that, we lie to our children, and we've been lied to. It's just been the way for generations way back. It's all been lies.
All lies. I cried like a baby the day I found out Santa Claus.
Me too.
And I'm like, well, how dare you, Mom?
I was heartbroken. I mean, I was like, this is terrible.
I know. Oh, Lord, why we do that to ourselves, I don't know.
I know. And I understand this is going to be heartbreaking for a lot of the religious fanatics and stuff. But I feel like there will be preparations made. Even if the governments don't do it, there will be enough. I think that a lot of us will get instructions from the interdimensionals and extraterrestrials on how to do this. They know all these things. They know. Just think about it. I'm 64 years old. Since my birth, they have been watching me, directing me, and a whole lot of others. They know what it's like to be a human being. They know the hardships of being a human being. Not just from me, but from the world. They can look down at our world and see the hardships that we go through every day. So they're prepared for this, and they're here to assist us. We're going to get that kind of help.
Now, in your experiences, have you been shown other planets, other civilizations, other beings that are close, near, far from us in our galaxy, outside of our galaxy?
In other dimensions.
Yes, because you have to understand a lot of these extraterrestrials are in our solar system, but sometimes they're in a different dimension, which is not a physical place. It's a higher frequency, a higher level of consciousness. We cannot see it, but they are there. Our solar system is full of life, and there's life on every planet. We just can't see it. And yes, I've seen their cities. I've got drawings on my website where I've interacted in the cities and seen what I always call creatures. And now, since I watched and saw Deb on Spaced Out Radio a long time ago, I understand for watching that show that there's cryptids. So I have an understanding of that. So yeah, I've seen all that kind of stuff. And I've actually been on craft with a group of explorers that were actually looking for cryptids, creatures, Bigfoots, the cats that look between a cat and a dog, these other creatures that I don't even know what they are. They're you would think they could be a plant, but they're not. They're an animal, and they're kind of shaped like a hand, and they kind of move like this, only they have feet and different things. But it's really strange. I'll bring this up since I thought about her being on Spaced Out Radio. one of the things they were looking for were these creatures that had jumped a dimension. So you know how people are always talking about like Bigfoot and how there's always a UFO nearby. They'll spot a UFO. What that is, they're not dropping them off. They're collecting them to take them back to their dimension because they don't want them to instill fear and chaos among humanity. Now, if they stay out in the woods and to themselves and they are not creating anything, they'll probably leave them alone. But once humans they get that connect, start seeing them, and humans get all excited and stuff. I was with a group of explorers, and we were right. I was not a part of it. I didn't do anything. I simply watched, but they were going around and collecting these creatures like Bigfoot or chupacabra or whatever these things are called, and they would put them in a container and take them back to their dimension.
That's an interesting. I don't believe I've ever heard any paranormal or cryptid hunters with that point of view. That's new to me.
Well, I'm probably
it sounds
that's done something like that too. And
it sounds
that happened a long time ago.
plausible.
And that's the first time that I had ever seen an aquatic being, because there's things in our waters too.
Oh yeah, I fully believe that's why I have such a phobia about getting in the ocean, because there's something in there that I don't know that I like whatever's in there.
Yeah. I know Russia has a lot of strange things that happens around that. So yeah. And you know, I've been on craft where it's gone underwater, and I've had a lot of experience. I mean, I'm 64. So, and this has been going on all my life. And I am a person that I'm a hands-on learner. You know, I need to experience it and stuff. So they have really made sure that I have got that aspect of things. Back in September, they sent my son and I to Mexico, and we went to San Jose Pacifico, which is up on a mountain. It took us 3 hours to drive up there, and they wanted us to meet an indigenous tribe called the Zapotec, and these are an indigenous tribe in Mexico that their lineage goes back as far as the Incas and the Mayans. And they wanted us to go up there and meet them because they're the most eco-friendly people I've ever seen in my life. And they were on the verge of ascension, and it completely collapsed on them because of their younger generation simply walked away from their tribe, group, whatever you want to call them, and moved away because they were influenced by materialistic things and technology. So they wanted us to see the impact that makes on a culture. And they also wanted us to understand and see, my son went with me, by the way. They gave him downloads and me, and we ended up going there. But when we got there, they came to visit us every single day. And they would never take my son and I at the same time because we have different guardians that come to get us. And also we figured out that they let us experience why they won't take us at the same time. For me anyway, because I'm the more of the hands-on, have to see whatever. But I became very emotional. I was conscious, and I was standing holding hands with the female gray, and I looked over to the bed across the room where my son was. We were in the cabin, and he was under the covers, and he was trying to get up, and they had him in a paralyzed state to where he couldn't get up. And when I saw that, I started screaming his name across the room, acting emotionally and whatever. My female gray, she just blacked me right out, because when we feel that intensity of anxiety and fear, they are telepathic. They're not used to these emotions. Mm-hmm. They feel it 10 times what we feel. It's not fun. They don't like it. So she tapped me out. And so I didn't wake. So next thing I knew, I went with her and came back, and I woke up consciously, and she was getting me into bed. But my stomach was like, woo, 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 because apparently the craft had not been close by. And we went in some type of port. I don't know what they did. They opened a portal or something there in Mexico. And we went through it. And so they probably were going to do that to me anyway, because most of what I remember is when they're actually close by and they're hand holding me going to craft, but this was different. But yeah, they're not going to take us at the same time, because he and I would be too worried about what the other one was feeling and not learn what we're supposed to be learning and paying attention. Our focus would not be in the right place. So
Right.
I learned that. But they basically took me outside the cabin and took their hands out like this and said, everything is alive. Everything is alive. And I looked out there and I could see trees talking to each other. I could see the plants communicating. And I saw a tree was standing there laughing at me. And I asked the interdimensional, why is that tree laughing at me? He goes, he's laughing at humanity and you. And I said, why? He said, you humans run around cutting us down. We provide you the air that you breathe. We produce the fruit you eat. We provide the materials you need to live in. You have no respect, no care for us, and you just run around cutting us down. And basically, the tree was making fun of humanity because we were not intelligent enough to understand what we were doing. That was a big awakening for me. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing.
Humans are idiots.
Yeah.
I say that every
That's
day
basically
anymore.
what the tree was saying to me. We
Right.
are idiots,
The tree's not wrong.
Nope, I think that many times a day.
And basically what they're saying is they've been waiting all this time for us to wake up and understand these things.
Yeah. Hopefully we're getting closer, because it's getting old, man.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I'm 65. I'm
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the new generation. I see some impressiveness and some hope. And
I think children are children are being born with a different DNA than us. I really do.
I agree with you there. I'm seeing things out of the children that just makes my heart sing. I just wish I would shut up.
These kids are morons, man.
No, no, you don't know what I'm talking. I'm talking about the little ones.
Oh,
Yeah.
The little ones coming out now. They are really going to be something.
I think so too. I think they're going to have a better understanding of the world around and have a more appreciation for things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, especially these millennials right now. The woke, political wokeness that is going on right now, that it's distracting from important issues, important things, humanity in itself. We've got to get past that point, I think, before anything can happen. Because if I was interdimensional or extraterrestrial and I was seeing that type of behavior, I'd be like, let's go on to the next planet, homie.
Yeah. Lock the doors.
Yeah. Not stopping. It's not happening.
Yeah. Well, it's hard, but you try to rise above
all
of it.
See the beauty in things, see the positive side of things.
Right.
And we kind of create the world around us. So if we get pulled in by all this negative things, which is done intentionally to do that to us, we're playing into their program. Yeah. That's part of a program, kind of like the movie The Matrix. We're playing into a program. So we have to break free and understand that these things are being done intentionally, and we have to use discernment and walk away and realize we're not falling for that anymore.
That sign on the wall back here behind me, it says, "See good in all things." That's my daily reminder to not allow myself to be pulled down.
When I have a negative thought, I replace it with 2 good thoughts. And if you keep doing that, eventually it will just start to happen. You'll just start doing that. And you know what's so good about that? The really negative people will get sick of you.
Yeah, I irritate a lot of people.
Yeah, so
And that's
they'll be
pretty
the ones
fine.
running off because they
Yeah.
get sick of you instead of
Yeah.
being the other way around.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
Greg, you've heard all this before, dude, you know,
Right.
because I've said a lot of it to him.
Well, you know,
I'm a human being. No, I
I got froze
have
up.
feelings. I have weaknesses. I get angry. Uh, I get angry, you know, and I shoot off my mouth because I am mouthy. But I really, really try hard to remember what I was taught somewhere, you know, so that I can help other people. You
Yeah.
know. But yeah, I mean, I think what you're doing is good, is great work for humanity and the future of humanity.
Well, we have to start somewhere, you
Mhm.
know, and the time is now. We have to start. And, you know, it may not have, I don't know how long this will take. I really don't, you know, but we have to start.
Yeah,
Somebody has to start it.
Mhm.
for sure. Well, Nancy, go ahead and put your socials out and your website
Okay.
so people can get a hold of you and come check you out and read all about you.
Timefordisclosure.com is the website. And the Facebook group is Time for Disclosure / We Have Never Been Alone / We Are the Disclosure. And I belong to a lot of groups and they're all great. They're all great. And I think we kind of all work together to try to keep information for people. And we understand, you know, it needs to be a safe place for people to share their experiences and to learn things and to find out for these meetups and groups where they can understand and be around like-minded people and feel like they have a family, you know. So yeah, so I'd love
It's
to see people there.
yeah, it's important to be in the same place with this with like-minded people that know and understand what you've gone through and what you're going through, that can really just reach out and make like a big difference in how you perceive and move forward in life. I mean, for
Yes,
what Deb is doing when she came out and started telling her story and reaching out and helping other people, I think that's what it's all about. When
it
the bottom, at
is.
the end of the day, it's, how can I help you? How can you help me? And, moving forward. So awesome.
Yeah,
Well, just so everyone will know, I'll have all of Nancy's links down in the bottom in the description on the YouTube channel, so you guys can click on those links. Remember, also check out our Patreon at Midwest Paratalk Radio. And so, yeah, all this will be up to on Amazon Music and Apple Podcasts, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, which is no longer going to be a thing after the end of this month, unfortunately. It's moving to YouTube Podcast. So we'll be putting that information out for you guys as well. But Nancy, I want to really thank you for coming on and chatting with us tonight. And
I loved it. Thank you, Deb.
Thank you for coming. I'm so glad we were able to reschedule you, and I'm glad you're okay.
Oh, I'm okay.
Thank you.
We're fighters, remember?
That's right. We are.
all right. Well, you take care. And remember, you guys, catch us next Thursday night, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, here on Midwest Paratalk Radio. And we will see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.